Good day, everyone. Richard Cowperthwait for Northwest Access TV. Thanks for joining us as we get ever closer to town meeting day. And we've scheduled a lot of shows trying to give folks some information about what they'll be voting on, hopefully, what they'll be voting on March 5th or before, and also candidates in contested races. Well, we certainly have a candidate here. We have the mayor of St. Albans, in fact, Mayor Tim Smith, and Mr. Mayor running for, I guess, what, a fourth term, two-year term, unopposed. My question is, any concern that he may run into another write-in campaign from a family member? Or
No,
is that
I think he's retired.
Really?
It's funny, I don't think of myself as a candidate.
Right.
I know I am, but
Right.
I've never heard that term thrown at me.
Candidate for re-election,
Yeah,
mayor's the guy. So, wow, so a fourth two-year term.
Yeah, it's
Was that an easy? Did you think about not running again?
a while back I did, probably
Yeah.
2 years ago,
Yeah,
when things were in a little bit of an upheaval.
yeah,
But no, I think, and all along I thought I would only run 6 years. I mean, Marty Manhan did 6 years, Liz Gamache did 6 years. So that,
and of course Peter Deloria is still the
Peter,
record
yeah.
holder with what, 10
12
years? 12 years.
yeah.
Sorry, Peter, didn't mean to shortchange it 2 years.
So I've always had in my mind that 6 years sort of the,
Yeah.
not the limit, but the threshold, and no one really had expressed interest, and
Oh.
so I guess I said, well, I can do 2 more years, I guess.
Yeah, so this might be it. We won't hold you to this, but this
Yeah,
might
I mean,
be it.
who knows what's happened,
knows?
where we are in 2 years,
Yeah,
we just lost Chad Spooner stepping down.
boy, a big loss. Chad's
Yeah.
been a great city council president
Yeah.
for years, an excellent counselor.
No doubt, for 15 years he served.
Wow.
And I can guarantee I won't make 15 years, Richard.
Right.
But Chad was great to work with, not just for his ward, but for the whole city. I mean, his vision for everything, what was happening in the city, and he was just in tune with all the departments and
Yeah.
what the needs are. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it'll be a big loss.
And of course, he's Ward 6, and unfortunately, nobody jumped in.
No one said. We had a lot of outreach. Chad talked to folks. I did.
Huh.
There was others, and no one was interested.
So no talk of a write-in candidacy by anybody?
Not that I know of.
How many votes would it take to win?
30 votes.
30 votes,
Yeah.
but no talk about anybody.
No.
So it sounds like city council would end up, hopefully you can find somebody who would appoint somebody after the election.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what if anyone's thinking about, but we can appoint someone until the next election.
So I guess anybody who might be interested out there,
Should reach out. Yeah.
talk to somebody at City Hall.
Yep. So.
And I should note, obviously, Ward 5, there is a contest in the city. Bob Farrar, the
Right.
incumbent Ward 5 councilor, being challenged by Eric Johnson.
Right.
And I'll be interviewing those folks down
Good.
the road.
Good. Yeah, both. Bob's been on the board. He defeated Kate Laddison. That seems to be the ward where there's been some.
Yeah, of course.
Some
Bob,
races.
Yeah, Bob unseated Kate 3 years ago.
Yeah, and so Eric has been very involved with the downtown board and other activities around the city. So
Yeah.
and Bob is very knowledgeable. You see Bob walking all the time, so he's well versed on the streets of St. Albans.
Of course, the Franklin County probate court judge also.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
So it'll be interesting. Hopefully, we get a good turnout.
Yeah.
I hope we do with the school budget and the city budget.
Yeah.
So time will tell.
Speaking again, got the warning in front of me. Speaking of the city budget, voters being asked to approve a city budget of almost $14 million. How much is that up, Mr. Mayor?
0.6%.
0.6, as in
0.6.
less than 1%.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So we have a subcommittee that works on that. I think it's Bob Farrar, Tim Hawkins, and Trudy Coffey.
Yeah.
And they were adamant that they wanted
Wow.
to even try to level fund it. What helps us is that the TIF projects over the years, our grand list has grown. So that's been beneficial for budgeting purposes. But I expect we'll talk about the school budget, Richard. But we have many of the same inflationary concerns. I mean, healthcare, pay wages. I mean, there's a lot. You're paying more for gas. Well, gas is leveled off, but, you know, you don't know where that's gonna go. So there's a lot of expenses that, that we've been able to control.
Yeah. And speaking of the school budget, again, I should know we're taping this show on, where are we, Friday, November, good, about Friday, February 16th, have I got that
Yeah,
right?
we don't wanna go backwards.
Friday, again, Feb 16, and you had a city council meeting this week, Monday night, and Bill
Yeah.
Kimball, the Maple Run superintendent, was with you.
Yeah, Bill Kimball and Mike McCarthy.
And Mike
Representative
McCarthy on the
McCarthy
board.
came in, and the conversation was about where school budgets are headed. And
Wow.
I think the bottom line is everyone's on the same page that the system's broken.
Yeah.
I mean,
And good luck understanding it. Good luck. I mean, don't even ask me about it,
Yeah,
but I
no.
think folks a lot smarter than me. Sounds ridiculously complicated, convoluted.
and it is. It
And
is.
it is.
The joke is there's 6 people in the state that can explain it to you.
Yeah.
It needs to be something simpler, you know.
Yeah.
So we had a long conversation and good conversation with Superintendent Kimball and Representative McCarthy. You know, the school budget, Maple Run school budget, is going up, I think, 7.2 million.
Did I see, I think, about 76 mil or so? I think
I
am I
think
off?
they jumped from 65 million to 72 million.
Or 72.
I think that's
sorry.
what it is.
Yeah, that's a big, obviously the biggest number you're going to see in Franklin County, obviously.
Yeah, no, it's and you know, even last year, property owners were paying, you know, depending on the value of the house, anywhere from 500 to 1,000 more, and that wasn't for the city budget. That was
Right.
for the school budget.
And as we talked about, municipal budget tends to be about the school budget tends to be about 2/3 of the tax bill, maybe even a
I
little
think
more
even,
possibly.
even more now. I mean,
Yeah.
if you just look at the straight numbers, like you said, 14 million for the city budget
Yeah,
and 72 for the school budget, we're a lot less than
yeah,
a fourth, you know.
wow.
But
Were they, I mean, they agreed that it should be a simpler system. They're not happy with the status quo,
yeah,
I
no,
assume?
they are in agreement that something needs to be done.
Yeah,
And we, the council and the city manager, owned up to the fact that our common level of appraisal is way low.
right.
We're moving through that process.
Meaning a reappraisal's looming at some point.
Yeah, it should be completed by April of 25.
Wow.
So.
Have you found, is it even hard to get? It sounds like a lot of folks.
No, I think we lucked out.
Really?
It may be hard to get, but I think we lucked out.
Really?
We were able to find an individual, I think, that we had a relationship with, and that their company signed on. I think we signed that contract back in November.
Oh, really?
So they're doing a lot of preliminary work now.
No, so that's actually underway.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in-house. They
Right.
haven't gotten into the homes yet.
Right.
But,
Seems like typically reappraisals, and again, there's a big overgeneralization, but seems like often they're not the best news for residential folks and better news for commercial folks, but maybe I'm overgeneralizing big time.
yeah, I think it changes
Yeah.
from appraisal to appraisal.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are worried that their taxes are going to go up when there's a
Right.
reappraisal. But
Right.
the actuality is that your tax rate will go down to hopefully meet what you're paying now, you know, outside of any increases in budgets.
Right.
Your tax rate should drop because the value of your property is going to be, as the records show, we're at 64%.
Really.
So we need to be
Wow.
at 100%. So
Um,
the expectation is when that gets back to 100%, the tax rate will be lower, and we should be paying the same amount, you know, overall for the general budget, but the tax rate will be less.
Basically to say whatever your house in St. Albans City is tax appraised at, it sounds like you should presumably be able to sell it for a lot more than that, or at least
Exactly,
in a lot of
yeah.
cases.
I'm not sure how many folks really look at the city or town's Lister card.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them, like we said, we're 35% under value.
Wow.
So most people, the banks require an appraisal anyway, so that's usually the one that
Yeah.
they go by.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Lister card, when not up to date, is not, I don't think, a very valuable tour. I mean,
Right.
it tells you about the house and everything, but it doesn't, you know, it doesn't give you the actual an honest appraised value, in my opinion.
Right. I guess the other big article on the ballot has to do, we talked about tax increment financing, the redevelopment funds. Can you get into that a little bit?
Sure. This is our last vote for a
Really?
TIF. We have 10 years to utilize it, and this is our last one. And we're looking at 3 projects. One is some cost related to the courthouse on Lower Kingman. That was part of our role in redeveloping that, and if people haven't been in there, it's turned out to be a real jewel for downtown. 8 apartments, all totally refurbished. There are vacancies, or there's openings at this time.
This is the Jim Cameron project.
Jim Cameron owns it, yeah. So that's, I think, 200,000 is going towards that. I think 1.2 million would be for the Federal Street infrastructure, water and sewer, sidewalks, roads, all that. And then the last one is 10 million or 11 for the housing projects on off from Main Street, where it used to be the Bellevue Hotel, and people know it probably better as
That's right next to City Hall, almost.
right next to City Hall, and where Subway used to be.
Right.
So.
Martha's Kitchen logged some time in there.
Right, yeah. So if we hope people approve it, we can add some housing to the market as well when that project's done. And but this is it for us. I mean, we'll have to find more creative ways to continue to develop properties. But the TIF has been an asset to us. It's been despite what our state auditor has said.
Doug Hoffer, not the biggest fan of
No,
TIFs. Sounds like Burlington's the latest place he's been kind of going after.
Doug Hoffer is not a big fan of pretty much any economic development project.
And again, his line, just speaking very generally, seems to be, hey, you could have done a lot of this stuff without these programs, or was that?
Right. He is of the belief that the private sector would have done all these without the use of the TIF funds.
And you don't buy that for a second?
Not even close. We would never had. You know, if we didn't clean up the site, which was I think 400,000 for the Ace Hardware store, that would have never happened. You know, we stepped in. We negotiated the deal in the courthouse with People's Trust, the hotel, the parking garage. I mean, the city was active in the relocation of the state office building. So there's many examples of a public-private partnership that the projects would never happen without the public aspect of it.
Interesting. So again, the TIF tax increment financing's been just a huge key to revitalization of St. Albans.
Don't hold me. I think our grand list jumped from 65 million to 120 million, or excuse me, 65 million to 120 million.
Really, almost doubling.
Almost doubled, yeah.
And even taking a hit on the Gil-Tabor complex, the U.S. Customs and Immigration, which you took a hit on when that was vacated.
I mean, fortunately, we had the TIF, and we were able to backfill a lot of the projects from the reappraisal of that property.
Speaking of that property, you mentioned before maybe some warehousing, anything?
It's been bought by a company called Belly Box.
And of course, they had the presence out at the...
They were out of the Energizer building.
And they were out of there, correct?
Right out of there, right.
Okay.
And
okay, so they basically moved, just shifted locations.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
any chance? I mean, that's a big building, obviously. Are they just using part of that?
Yeah, they'd like to find ways to sublease or rent out other parts of the building, and that's one of those buildings that we will showcase for the passport agency.
Right, no, it's certainly on my list.
Yeah, there was a call last week. I was unable to attend a meeting with the city manager today to discuss how that call went, but supposedly they're starting to look at where there's opportunities within St. Albans and Franklin County to locate the passport agency.
No, really, so for another site to relocate it as opposed to moving it out of town.
Opposed to moving out of town and keeping it where it is. I think the decision made that they won't be in that building.
Interesting. But are you feeling better about being
Yeah, no,
able
I
to
think
keep
we-
the passport agency
Yeah.
in St. Albans?
Yeah, no, I think we intercepted some.
Really?
You know, there was comments that people already looked around, and no one contacted me, no one contacted the city. So I think they were just trying to sneak it through and move it
Really?
to Essex. And I think thankful for the employees who brought it to our attention, and then
So that was the first you had heard about it, when you heard from some of the employees?
yeah.
Really?
So
Boy,
they,
sneak it through. You really, I mean, they
yeah, no,
maybe really thought they could.
that's what the has the appearance
Really?
of. I mean, like I said, they shared that they had looked for alternative space, and they
Right.
did not.
Right.
You know, this is similar to the immigration. I mean, if people want to know what the loss of Senator Leahy was, I
Yeah.
mean, these are two prime examples
Sounds like an.
of how he assisted St. Albans in economic development.
If Senator Leahy was still with us, are you pretty convinced St. Albans wouldn't have lost the immigration, or would have been less
But-
likely to anyway?
I mean, there's some other pieces of the storm, if you will. I mean,
Yeah.
you had COVID,
Right.
you had the flood down there,
Right.
but I know he would have worked hard to come up with a solution to keep
Yeah.
it here. You know, that's whether he would have been successful, but at least we would have had we would have had a leader on the conversation.
Right. I mean, there's still a lot of local people working for those who just are working remotely or go down to Essex
Yeah.
once in a while or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
But still, big loss.
Yeah, I mean, the losses to the downtown,
Sure.
people going out to eat after
Yeah.
work, or popping into the drugstore, whatever the case is, or
Yeah.
Food City or whatever
Yeah.
to utilize.
How do you feel health of downtown? How do you feel about downtown right now?
Well, we just had the new store open up, Little, which is a baby shop on the east side of Main Street.
I heard the Mexican restaurant is
they're
moving
moving-
from the
yeah.
shopping center downtown,
Yeah,
South
moving
Main
to where
Street.
the main squeeze used to
Right.
be. So I was in Little yesterday or
Huh.
2 days ago to drop some flowers off, and they had 3 or 4 people in there, and that
Yeah.
was on a Wednesday morning or Tuesday morning, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I wish them well. I think it's a nice little niche, and so we'll see how that goes. The other one is, I brought this along. We were and it's not necessarily downtown, but this is how do I describe this, Richard? This is a small thing, yet it's a big thing,
Oh,
and that is an individual from Burlington who we worked with through Franklin County Industrial Development bought the laundromat down by Food City.
yeah.
And the laundromat had, I think I was told, 3 working machines out of who knows how
Out of
many.
a bunch. I'm not sure I've ever been in
out
there.
of 15 or 20.
Really.
And he is rehabbing it. The new name is the Positive Spin Laundry. So when I say it's a big thing, I mean if
Hey, laundry, that's a big, I used to have to go to places like that for laundry.
right,
That
I
is
mean
a big
it's
thing.
a lot more people renting. I mean there's,
Sure.
but even if you're at home, homeowners, if their their dryer or washer go down,
Yeah,
I mean that's.
yeah.
You want a place to go, and this
Yeah.
place is, so he's rehabbing the whole inside, painting, cleaning,
Yeah, wow.
new washers, new dryers. He's
Yeah.
gonna have combination access, so it's not a place of loitering. I'm not sure how that system works,
Interesting.
but you would
Huh.
get an access code
really?
and do your laundry and then move on.
No, that sounds like a not insignificant issue.
Yeah, no,
That's good.
no, it's
good news.
it's a great addition for I think just the city's infrastructure to have
Yeah,
a laundromat that is in good shape and people can use it.
yeah.
So,
But speaking of Food City, I'm not sure going back years. I just wasn't convinced that Food City would hang in there, but it is, and I guess they're hooked up. I didn't think. I just only realized that. I guess they're hooked up with a few Maine supermarkets and maybe one in New Hampshire, but I guess it's one of about 5 or 6. The owner of that. I
Yeah.
didn't know that till I happened to notice that a while back.
yeah, no, I knew it was a chain, if you will, a
Yeah,
small
chain.
But I go in there a couple times a week probably, and I'm always I always encounter people in line. And,
Yeah, no, I'm in there once in a while. I appreciate they're my Sunday paper place. You can count on New York Times, Boston Globe.
Oh, is that
typically.
right?
That's my main Sunday paper place.
I didn't know that. That's good to know. I might beat you to them.
Yeah, they just never know. It's funny. Sometimes they come in the morning. Sometimes like early afternoon. They just never know when they come in, but they usually make it.
Yeah, so that the laundromat will be. It's a nice. Like I said, it's a small thing. Yet it's a big thing. I mean, if for anyone who's lost their dryer or washer, it's huge.
Yeah, railroad building on Federal Street. Any?
No, I haven't heard anything more. I don't know that. We haven't had any discussions.
Yeah, the big apartment project down on Lake Street. And is that fair? Is that moving along okay?
Yeah. I mean, the fourth floor is in place. I thought it was just four. So I need to confirm this. I thought it was just 4 stories, but we had a tour over at Milan last week, and we had some kids from the tech center, and one of them said it was going to be 5 stories. So
really,
I'm not. I need to confirm that, but.
And we're talking about 770 or so
72,
units.
I think. 72.
And when is that supposed to be done?
Oh, I think.
Talking this year,
yeah.
End of the year, maybe.
November, December, I think.
Interesting.
I lose track of all the deadline dates.
Yeah. And speaking of housing, Cathedral Square on the old Fonda Solo site, is that pretty solid?
Yeah, they're breaking ground this spring.
Wow, I guess sounds very solid. And how many units there?
33, 34.
That's right, because they're looking at a similar thing in Highgate, which of course you know.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah.
No, I think that's a.
If they do that in Highgate
Village
Center,
core up there.
No, that's wonderful. That's that will be a nice. You just when you look at senior housing, I mean you got McEwen's within walking distance.
Yeah.
You got you got a convenience store there. You got library. You got the rink. You got the rail trail. I mean, that location right in the village of Highgate's huge. I think that will be well received.
Yeah, I interviewed Sharon Bousquet, the Highgate Town Administrator. Yeah, she's thrilled about that. In fact, talked to her the other day, and she said already they're getting some, maybe not official, but even getting a bunch of inquiries already about that. Yeah, not surprising.
Yeah, and what that does is, and we've seen it before, is that people, seniors who are or maybe live in a home that's become too much to maintain, choose to go to these facilities. Yeah. And
which frees up some houses.
Frees up housing, for families and families to move into the area. So that's the trickle down effect. It's great, obviously, to have the housing for the seniors, but the trickle down is even it can be even more impactful. Yeah,
Cathedral Square folks sound like they're very, very solid. They've been in business for a while. Sound like they're very good at what they do.
Yeah, they got the project down on North Elm, on the corner of North Elm. That's a Cathedral Square project, and so they've got good leadership, and so.
Interesting. You mentioned rail trail, Missisquoi Valley Rail Trail. We are talking an extension of that coming at some point. Is that solid? Just on the St. Albans end coming down, and
they started pulling rail. They started pulling rail on that section just down by Lower Newton.
Yeah.
And so I know that the rail dispatch center is anxious to get an actual road in there, and when they get the road, then I think there'll be in addition to the road is the extension of the rail trail.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of that 1.2 million TIF. As well, possibly. I'll have to double check that, but I think they're closely connected.
And of course, LVRT, which I think you mentioned, Lamoille Valley Rail Trail. And again, after the flooding and stuff, the line was they probably wouldn't totally fix all the flood damage till I think this summer, but they got it done, I think, well ahead of schedule. I guess that is now.
No, they expedited some of that.
And gee, even a little snow. I measured about 3.5 inches on my car this morning again, Friday, Feb 16. So we've had a few inches lately. Looks like a little bit more of a winter look.
Yeah, I mean,
probably saving. Even if you get an inch or two of snow, the trucks, it's not like you need a big snowstorm to be spending money on plowing.
They still have to be out on the road, still have to do the sidewalks. But knock on wood, I'm hoping that there will be some, there should be, I don't want to say should, we're hoping that there will be savings from the winter budget. Yeah,
that'd be nice. But nice to see a little snow as we head into a holiday weekend here. Hopefully the ski resorts will have a busy weekend.
Ski resorts will be happy, and but And the way I look at it, whatever we get now, Richard won't. It's not gonna.
Yeah.
It's not gonna stick around long. With the days are getting longer, and
Yeah. But not much snow. I can tell you Burlington's probably now up to about 33 inches this winter. Average annual is 80, so not even half. And here we are in mid-Feb.
I heard on the news the other night we're 27, or Burlington's 27 inches below the average.
Yeah, that sounds about right, because they usually get up to about 80 or 85. Yep, that's about right. Police department down to about 3.5 minutes. Police department, of course, St. Albans PD will be retaking command in St. Albans town on July 1st. Success in building up the staff. Do you know how we're doing with the PD, Tim?
Actually, I don't, Richard. I haven't had that discussion.
But in any case, they've got St. Albans town come July 1st.
Yes, for sure. We're looking forward to it. We are looking forward to bringing the, there's a lot of neighborhood issues with drug houses and whatnot, and we're looking forward to getting the drug task force, or the street crimes unit back on full force.
And that definitely will be coming back.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a big piece of the discussion.
Wow.
We city and town, we want to make sure that we have a presence and try to start to impact what we've seen in the past.
I think 7 days, which I haven't seen, I've heard it on radio. I guess I think the 7 days cover this week is on the kind of infamous kind of drug house in Burlington, I think. I think they gave one house here that's had apartment house with all kinds of problems. I think 7 days got into that issue in this week's issue. But yeah, a lot of issues.
Yeah, my thing is, Richard, that it all comes down to the landlord.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, you wonder how. Yeah, if there are a lot of problems, how does this go on for years?
I mean, I've been a landlord.
I've been a landlord.
With my brother and Mike had a 5-unit up in Newport.
Right.
I've had him here in St. Albans. You just have to scrutinize your applicants, and you have to maintain and be around and check on the place. And there's some responsibility with having an apartment house. You don't just collect the rent and move on every day.
Yeah.
And the city is looking at some landlord guidelines. And I'm not sure what it's going to look like. It may be something like, if the police are called to that house 4 times in a month, well, the landlord's gonna start paying some tabs on that.
Have some other communities done stuff like that?
I think so.
Interesting.
So the city manager is starting to look at what was out there and starting to put together some policy. So we're serious about it. It may cost all landlords a little bit more, but I think for the betterment of the community, then that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah. And you got a lot of stuff going on, Mr. Mayor, last minute here, again, as you're about to embark on another 2-year term as mayor. Any particular one-issue project you'd like to...
Well, that's a good question. I haven't really thought about it, Richard. I mean, we've made, and I say we being the entire city and council and staff, made a lot of headway in the last 6 years. That was a foundation built by Marty and Liz. But I think... we want to continue to build out Hardack.
And the pool, sounds like the pool's been a very solid success.
Pool's definitely been a success for sure. I think the 2 housing projects in and around the downtown are probably the big ones we want to get off the park. So, I just encourage people to get out and vote, and we'll see what the turnout is, and we'll be watching your show to get the results.
Very, very good. Yeah, we'll be here. Thanks to St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith. Again, annual city meeting coming up on March 5th, and many thanks to our producer, Mr. Paul Snyder. Thanks for watching us here on Northwest Access TV. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. See you next time. See ya.